There's a threat in the world today. A threat to our way of living, a threat to our society, and maybe even a threat to our very existence. And what is this threat?
And I think, we've done through the pick, so we can hop into IndyCar, right? I think that's a good segue right there.
Yeah, very good
I
segue.
think these owners are scared of Fernando. What do you think?
Um,
I think they're afraid that these new guys, the Steinbrenner team. Well, I guess he's a full-time guy, so he'd be in that
which
group.
the Steinbrenner team aren't they affiliated with Andretti Autosport
They may like be one of those like
satellite teams?
yeah, exactly. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess
Because like Marcos rides Herta Andretti.
exactly. Yeah, that is one of those. That's what I was trying to think. And who is the other person? Oh, there's somebody else under that Andretti flag, if you will, and I can't remember who it is. That's what I was trying to think.
Which there's a lot of teams that do that. Like Penske, his it's either like his son or son-in-law or stepson or something like that. He has a satellite team in IndyCar and a Dragon Sport or something like that racing.
What's really interesting is we're starting to see as we get closer to May, some of these teams kind of hop up and say, hey, we're going to put something in, we're going to do something. And Juncos Racing, they put in a team. They haven't announced a driver yet. I was talking to you before, not looking at the green shirt under there, but I saw. I am guessing. I don't believe Munoz has a ride yet, and with the I'm not going to say the luck, but with the success he's had at the track, it's hard not to put him in at least one race there. I mean, to have him run for the 500. So it'd be interesting to see who kind of feels that. But all going back to the Andretti's, the Penske's, the Ganassis, these guys are scared. Steinbrenner's not coming out and saying anything. I like that. He's a rookie and he's coming out and he's being quiet. He could come out and be like, yeah, I completely agree with these guys. I want my guy in the 500.
Right.
But he's not, because I like that, man. And I gave him crap for flying the pinstripes. But the more and more I see this guy in IndyCar, I think I'm really going to like him as an owner and what he's going to do for the sport here.
Bottom line is he's a business man.
A business man.
Business man. BITNESS. Business. Business man.
So
that's yeah. But getting back to the Long Beach race and what we were kind of dabbling on with the Ray Hall Dixon scenario.
Yes.
So Ray Hall finishes third, Dixon fourth, but on the last lap, Dixon said Ray Hall blocked him, so they ended up penalizing. Good afternoon, Mr. Scott Rance.
Well, hello, sir.
So they ended up penalizing Graham Ray Hall and putting him back to fourth and giving Dixon the third place spot.
Yep.
Now, to me and what I watched, I don't necessarily call it a block.
No, I completely agree.
I think Graham was defending his line. So, I disagree with the call, but it is what it is.
Right. And Graham, he accepted it. I mean, but at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and fight it? Graham's not that type. At the back end, he thinks it's BS. But he's the type. He's going to shut up and he's going to sit in the car in the Grand Prix and he's going to want to win. He's going to be hungrier to do better.
You roll out of Long Beach with a fourth place finish. The car's not tore up. You get ready to come to Indy and hopefully you continue the momentum that this Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan teams had the past couple races moving into the Indy Grand Prix, and hopefully again you can start up front and pull out a win or another top 5 finish.
And he's a guy that has he knows how to throw it around this road course. So I'm interested to see that. I
consider Graham a better road course racer than he is oval racer.
I would agree with that. I'm with you there. And I mean, throughout his career, we've seen him. He's just had more success. The Detroit races.
Yes.
He runs those good. So yeah, he does. I see that. I agree with you there.
And then speaking
Michelle,
of,
yes, we will all be at Carb Day. It's gonna be a fun one. We are all excited. She's gonna see us at Carb Day. She's gonna come up, hang out with the crew there.
Hey,
Michelle will be a good one.
Scott, you can either come here or, we'll be back to Ingles, or now we do have the technology. We could do a phone interview with you sometime.
Absolutely.
So we could plan that, in the future and get you on here, and we can discuss, whatever you want to talk about on the phone.
Morning from Australia there.
Morning.
Well, hello, sir.
Morning.
Hope all is well. I am. We'll talk about it in segment 2. But Australia, I like your driver out there for F1, Ricardo.
Yeah, I do too.
He's making it strong. But we're gonna stay in IndyCar. Hopefully, you stay with us here.
You. Yeah. You. We're talking to you too.
My wife is not on here.
No,
not yet. So.
But getting back to Long Beach, we talked about how the rookies had a bad weekend at Long Beach. Colton Herta was the first one out of the race with mechanical difficulties. I'm not sure if it was the motor expired or what it was. I know it was
no magic smoke though.
No, I know he had radioed in and it wasn't running under full power, so I don't know if it was an electronic problem or what was going on with the car. But that's another DNF, because like I said, I'm pretty sure that they're affiliated with the Andretti moniker. Because wasn't it Hunter Ray in the first race at St. Petersburg had some mechanical issues?
Yep, he blew that out. Yep.
Right. So there again, if it's a electronic gremlin, there's nothing you can really do in that situation. I mean, you prepare the car like you prepare it every weekend, and you never know what's going to happen.
Right. No, you're exactly. Yeah. You have that mechanical failure. There's nothing you can do there. But there's some. Gosh, who was it? I mean, there's careless driving.
I don't know who was it.
There's very careless driving, and it kind of goes into. And I'm not going to cover it too much because I'll just get.
Well, there's that on the streets out here because people don't know how to use their turn signals. I experienced that on the way here.
I am convinced that if all world issues were solved by everybody just using the turn signal for one day, no world problems would be solved.
Right.
Somebody would screw it up. But and we've talked about it before, but I think I just hope we don't see too many of these rich kids get into the sport and just start tearing things up because of lack of experience or I don't know if it's desire. We're like, do these kids really want to be in a car? I don't know.
We're not. We're getting off subject here.
Sorry.
Then you had Newgarden at Long Beach finished in second. That's another strong finish for Joseph Newgarden. So he continues to string the top 5 finishes together.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about before at the beginning is consistency.
Yes.
With Dixon, Newgarden, these guys. I can't say Rossi necessarily because he finished 9th the race before, and then he had his first place. I mean, he's up there in points, but he needs to start pulling in more of those top 5s. But I think consistency, not necessarily race wins, is what's going to win the championship this year.
Right.
And I think it really, I mean, looking at it right now, it's going to come down between Newgarden and Dixon.
Yes.
So.
And I was thinking about that on the way over here. I wouldn't consider Newgarden now the picture at Indy 500 either.
Oh no, and I'll say it, one more time. But he's so poised and so he's not making that his number one goal. I think that's really what's going to set him ahead this year. I mean, I've said it before in the past. It's I want to win the 500. I haven't heard that one time from him this year. He's more settled back into the. Even last year, you heard him say the 500 before now. He hasn't talked about it once. And
like
I think
said,
that's
I think
lot.
He's just focusing on the big picture, and like he's already commented before, he wants another championship.
Exactly.
So that's the big picture. And it's already, you don't have to say, hey, I want to win the Indy 500. Everybody's stepping up and lacing up the shoes and strapping on the helmet to get in the Indy car. They want to win the Indy 500. That's a given.
Right. But with Newgarden, I just think he is becoming more of a mature racer. And we're
definitely.
He knows when to hold back. He knows when to drop back, when to push that pass. I mean, he's getting into more technical field than he was before. I mean, he was fast before.
I agree.
Newgarden was fast. He
I
throw it
agree.
around the track, and that's what I mean. That's why he got that ride with Penske. I think now with this experience with Penske, and it's probably having Will Power and Pagenaud kind of mentoring him there, but he is becoming a much more technical racer, I think, and that's going to breed his success. I just hope when he's done, he does tip his hat to Sarah and say, at least thanks for the start there. Because I think she gave him the car to definitely to get seen to be there.
I'm sure that would happen. I mean, Joseph, like you said, he has become a more mature person, driver. So I see him being very respectful and humble to Sarah for giving him that opportunity.
Right. So, and I hope so, because like I said, I mean, she gave him that car throughout the throttle stomper. He is. That's a good way to put it. But she gave him that car to be seen by Penske. I really do. And then so I guess that's kind of the what if or what is with Long Beach there.
Yeah.
You got anything to add with Long Beach?
No, not really. Besides the fact that I've heard some people say, oh, well, it was a boring race. And I wouldn't say it was boring. I mean, yes, Rossi did get out and pretty much dominate from start to finish. I mean, he was just on his game that day and had the car to do it. And so there you have it. But all in all, I thought it was a good race. It was enjoyable to me, and I enjoyed Long Beach.
Yeah, I agree. I think people want to see the passing up front. This was more of the midfield battles, more of that. And that doesn't entertain as much. I see it, but I like watching it. That's what's fun about. I mean, if you're sitting back on TV, you're going to see that mid-race stuff, that mid-pack stuff. So it's fun to watch, I think, on TV. And then, I mentioned it before, and I'm not going to skip ahead, but, they stack them up here at Long Beach. So to be there, I think that'd be a fun weekend. That's a lot of racing there in one weekend. So after the IndyCar race, they brought the super trucks. I believe Robbie Gordon took it, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's interesting, just how they kind of stack them up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And say, hey, if we're going to clog up the streets of LA, we're going to do it real quick, and we're going to be done with it.
Robbie Gordon is a hell of a racer, man. When you think of a racer, Robbie Gordon is the epitome of a racer. I mean, he ran NASCAR.
He's kind of that Tony
He
Stewart
ran
thing.
IndyCar. He's always throughout his career been involved in the Baja 1000 and the off-road vehicles like that. And I mean, now on the stadium trucks, I mean, that's Robbie Gordon's forte, man. He just, like I said, he's a racer. I dig Robbie Gordon. I would love to meet the man. I think he's the bee's knees.
The bee's knees. That's what I love when they win in super trucks and they put it up on two wheels.
Oh yeah.
There's a video I posted on our page. Gordon's taking it around that track, man, on two wheels, and the way he's turning, it's like, man, you can do that on two wheels. That's impressive. Right on, dude.
So we were talking about Rossi just a minute ago. Did I know you posted it, and it's been discussed before about Penske wanting Rossi to be a Penske driver.
Yeah, from what I was reading, it seemed like that was kind of the talk within the pits and everything.
Well, before he signed his contract with Andretti last time, that was a talk that Penske was interested, but
that was when they got Newgarden there, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I think that was the same year that those guys split there. So, and I mean, I think that's a smart decision on Penske if I'm correct, and that being the decision there between the two drivers is to go with Newgarden there. But I think now that Rossi's shown that he can, I mean, he can win in an oval. He can win I think he's better in a road course than he is in oval, but he can still win that oval for you. He's going to be.
But my thing on Rossi is he hasn't shown that consistency.
And that's where I think if you put him in that Penske car, that's where Newgarden before he wasn't necessarily showing that consistency. And now
that's a little different. I mean, Newgarden wasn't in the caliber of ride that Rossi's in now, and Rossi has been in.
That's
because other drivers that have run for Andretti, they can put together. Ryan Hunter-Reay. He's won championships at Andretti.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's necessarily the car. I mean, yes, when you come into IndyCar, I think ultimately, it used to be you wanted to drive for Penske. Back in the 500 heyday, Penske was the team you wanted to drive for.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't see that as much. I mean, like we've discussed before, you have Penske, Ganassi, Andretti, and I think if you drive for any one of those teams, you have a legitimate shot at winning races and winning a championship.
Oh, and I completely agree. And I hope that Steinbrenner and maybe Carlin, maybe those are the two up and comers that maybe they add a couple of racers and it does become a little more competitive. But I agree with you with what you're saying right now. That's the big three. That's your
right.
That's your Ferrari, your Mercedes, your Red Bull there.
Right.
But
what's up, Jason Bradley?
See, I don't see Jason, so that's the difference.
Well,
hello, Jason. Hello there. But the big three, like you're saying with I kind of lost track when I said hello there. Heck. Oh, Rossi, we were discussing that.
Right.
I think Penske is maybe it's Penske versus Andretti, the owner. Maybe that's the difference in Hunter Ray. Maybe he does have a good rapport with Andretti, but maybe Rossi, I don't know what's going on behind.
Oh, you're saying that maybe Rossi isn't as happy with the team in general as he would be, and maybe wants to move on to Penske.
I mean, look, they switched. Marco got his way. He wanted to be the 98. He wanted to change there. So
well, but the thing with Marco, the thing with Marco is, I heard that he's actually putting up money on that team. So the Andretti Herta is actually Marco.
Whose money is that, though?
Well, I understand that, but
so. But and I could see that. But heck, if I was Marco, that's the way I'm looking. I mean, I'm not winning championships. I've got the money. I can fund a team. I know what it takes. I mean, let's go up against Daddy and see if I can do something. Maybe
Mike says bring back Sarah Fisher.
I completely agree.
I wouldn't even,
as an owner,
I would love to see Sarah Fisher. How we were discussing last week about the Indy Lights. I would love to see her get in the Indy Lights and start a team in Indy Lights. Maybe if she doesn't have the resources and commitment for a full-blown IndyCar team, start out in the Indy Lights to get your feet wet again back as team owner, and help.
She'd be a really good one to build.
I agree. I agree.
I like that. I do. And maybe it's somebody to even just hire. Maybe she's not an owner. Maybe you hire her for that position in Indy Lights. You could really progress a driver. I mean, you really could.
You could make her the president of the Indy Lights series, and I could see her really taking the ball and running with it and helping that series to grow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I like Sarah Fisher.
I do too.
And her and Andy O'Gara, her husband, Dad was down at Whiteland last weekend talking to Andy, and
nice.
and what they're doing with Whiteland. I'm very excited to see all the progress they're already making, and I can't wait to see the final product. But so Sarah is all about racing, and I would love to see her take a position or ownership or some type of role in the Indy Lights.
Right. And I mean, I know at the end of the day, she is a mom, so maybe she wants to be with her family and here local. Maybe
I
that's
agree.
why they took on Whiteland, just to keep racing here, I guess. She wanted to stay with racing, but maybe she just doesn't want to travel. So,
well, and that's why I say, with the Indy Lights team, I mean, yes, I know they do travel,
keep her local,
but you're not taking on as big of commitment as an IndyCar team.
Right. No, I'm with you absolutely. So, no, I would love to see that. I'd love to see maybe even Danica. I mean, she's got money.
Yeah.
I mean, she had some success in IndyCar, so come in.
Maybe you could see Sarah Fisher and Danica partner up.
Did they get? I don't know if they got along.
I don't know. I don't know. They're.
It seemed like they were completely different type of people, but
yeah,
I could be way off there. I mean, I'm just going off what you see. What you get is what you see.
But what would a great way to bring money in to field
and women
to field a Indy Lights team? I mean, two of the biggest names in the IndyCar women. And partner together. And I mean, heck, if I had a company and they were presented to me, I'd be more inclined to jump on board with them than somebody else that come to me and hey, I'm starting an Indy Lights team. Yeah, I'd go with them too.
Right. Maybe Lynn St. James could throw $10 onto that.
Lynn St. James, hey man, she was a racer.
Absolutely, I remember
she was a racer.
That's one name, and as we get closer to May, we'll bring up these things, but Lynn St. James, I remember her growing up. It was every year, man. She was in that race, and she was giving those guys hell. I mean, she really wasn't. That was Sarah Fisher. I mean, she was up there. She was doing it, but it seemed Sarah had bad luck in 500.
Right.
I mean, she really did. It was unfortunate. She had the cars years, but
yes, Dan and Scott, I believe that will never happen either. I'm just saying hypothetically that would be a great deal to happen.
What would never happen? I lost
Danica and Sarah.
Oh, I get you. Yeah, but yeah, it absolutely would. I mean, you talk about bringing entertainment and people to the sport, that would do it.
No, I'm not saying IndyCar is a dying form at all. I think IndyCar is really gaining momentum, and I think NASCAR is the one that's dying out. Which, speaking of that, that leads us into this little bit that I want to talk about, and I think it kind of ruffles my feathers, if you will, to keep it PG and not throw words out there. It really annoys me when IndyCar president, what's his name, Jay Fry, he's a new president of IndyCar, and he had mentioned something about a doubleheader weekend, IndyCar and NASCAR together, and I'm like, no, because like I just said, IndyCar's coming up and NASCAR's fading out.
I think that's NASCAR trying to ride the pigtails.
But it wasn't NASCAR's idea. It was the IndyCar president's idea.
Well, they want to bring people to, like, I think IndyCar has the well-being of the track here. So they don't want to see the Brickyard necessarily fall out. They want to see the racing.
They weren't talking about just here. They were talking about doing a doubleheader weekend at a race, and it had nothing to do. It was nobody in NASCAR's idea. It was Jay Fry, the IndyCar president's idea. So after my dad was the one that was telling me about it, so I did a little bit of digging. Come to find out, Jay Fry, before he got with IndyCar, where was he at?
Help me out here. Was he?
He was the vice president and general manager of the Red Bull NASCAR racing team.
There you go.
So he has NASCAR ties.
So and I don't know.
And maybe he's the one trying to be the saving grace of NASCAR, if you will. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. NASCAR just, to me, the way they run right now and the way the series is going, you could take it off TV and it really wouldn't hurt my feelings, but I would much rather watch IndyCar racing.
So, and I don't know if this is the case, but maybe this is a way to grab these last remaining NASCAR guys that are watching NASCAR and they won't switch over to open wheel. And he's saying, hey, if we team up with these guys, we're going to show them this is better racing. Right. So maybe that's what he's looking at. Maybe he is a businessman.
Bitness.
Sorry.
You gotta emphasize the bitness.
A bitness, maybe.
Yeah, BITNESS. Bitness.
And maybe that is the case. I'm just randomly throwing them out there.
It's bitness. But yeah, I say negative on that one. Let NASCAR be a sinking ship on their own and keep IndyCar rolling the way they're rolling.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you there because and Michelle asked you, are we saying that's a dying form? No, that's why I
was talking about a minute ago. That's what brought us into this.
Right. No, they're up and coming, definitely, for sure. They I mean, IndyCar it's more, I think it's more athleticism. I think it's not just necessarily money we're seeing now, and it's more competitive with the large chassis. I really do think so.
Well, and like we were before we started the show, we were talking about that, and it's a spec series, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's running the same chassis, everybody's running the same tires. The only option you have is what motor package you're going to run. Which, if you run the Chevy motor or versus the Honda, they do have different aero packages too for each engine manufacturer.
Yep.
But besides that, it's pretty much a spec series, and we were discussing this, I think, last week before we started the show. That's why I think we need more chassis manufacturers back in IndyCar. McLaren, hey, come on in, build a chassis, and as long as it passes, everything IndyCar standards, then, hey, you have an option now. Because, the history of IndyCar, I remember back in the day, you had the Lolas. Penske, we were discussing, Penske had his own chassis.
Yep.
Wasn't it, I want to say there was a March. Wasn't there a March chassis? I
I'm
believe.
terrible. I was always.
I think it was Lola, March, and the Penske. So you had options,
right.
and I think not we, but I think IndyCar needs to get back to that.
No, and I could see that, but I think that's where we talk about, but the money aspect, it becomes more of a money sport then. So I like to see. I think in a spec game, if you will, you do the driver makes more of a difference, and then on top of that, I don't want to say pit strategy because I don't want to see a race won in the pits necessarily, but a little more strategy does come into it.
But I don't necessarily think it becomes a money aspect because, if you run, say if McLaren comes into it and you run a Dallara, and then okay, so say we're going into the 2020 season,
mm-hmm.
and you have Dallara and McLaren to choose from chassis wise. If you choose Dallara, then that's the chassis you run for that season. You can't, go from weekend to weekend. Say McLaren chassis was faster this weekend, so you want to rush out and next race have a McLaren. No, you stick with that chassis for the entire season.
Right.
So I don't think that money really comes into, because if IndyCar comes in and says, okay, McLaren, you can come in, but if Dallara is charging $100,000 for a chassis, you can't come in and build your chassis and say we were selling it for $500,000.
Okay,
you have to be on the same price range as. Right. So yeah,
I like that. I could see something like it, but you have to make those standards. You can't let it get out of hand.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm kind of going to jump ahead again, but okay. With IMSA, did I say that?
IMSA.
So with IMSA, McLaren is now a full-time manufacturer. So McLaren's getting deeper into racing. They're coming into Indy.
McLaren's always been deep into racing.
No, I'm with you. But they're making more strides. They're doing more things. They're pushing the limit right now. Like I said, they got their F1 team, and they're convinced right now with that team. They found the power that they're starting to move up. That this could be their rise. But then you got the IMSA. They're going full time there. You got Alonso coming in for the 500 here.
Hey, your nickname's Pickle. That's interesting to know.
I got that.
Hey, Pickle.
I like pickles. I ordered extra pickles on a sandwich one day, and ever since then it was Pickle.
Michelle said, "Hey, Pickle, how do you keep the kids out from while we're blogging?"
My fantastic wife is upstairs. She keeps all three of them. I can't even hear them right now.
No,
they must.
Well, we got headphones on.
Well, sometimes you can hear pow pow pow. Their feet or something like that as you're running. No, she does a great job. She appreciate her up there doing her thing as I do mine. Let me do this. So
thanks, Pickle.
Thanks, Mrs. Pickle. That sounds weird. Yeah. I like the nickname. I enjoyed it. And it was kind of nice because every now and then I'd go to a different store and they'd be like, "Hey man, try this new pickle."
My dad's on.
What's up?
The Dukester is on.
See, yeah, I would agree with exactly what your dad said there.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. He was listening to before then. He hopped on before. I thought he just hopped on. Right on. Thank you. We got both pops on here.
I know, right?
That's sweet. So
yeah, but what was you talking about? I done forgot what you
said. We were talking IMSA, McLaren.
We'll say that. But here's my thing on McLaren. Here's my thing on McLaren. Is McLaren coming to IndyCar just for Alonso? After Alonso say, next year Alonso says, "Yeah, I'm done racing." Does McLaren go away again, or do they stay in IndyCar?
I think this is their test, if you will. They had their was it necessarily McLaren? Did they run with McLaren the first year with Andretti? I don't think they did anything. I think it was a sponsor, maybe.
Right. Well,
I don't think they had anything McLaren, which I don't know really what they're running now. With McLaren.
Right. They're not running anything.
Aero package.
Maybe. I don't even know if they can have their own aero package or not. I think it has to be approved by IndyCar at the beginning of the season, so I don't know.
Well, they had this talk out there. That could have been I have no idea. I'll do a little research.
It's not they're not running their own chassis, so
right. It'd be interesting to see.
It's basically putting their name and stuff on the car.
So I have a little note down here. So does maybe McLaren and Renault come in and do something together? Maybe we see Renault Power as a third manufacturer as far as that, and that's where we get or would Renault just go in by themselves? I don't know. Maybe that's a way to split the cost.
I don't know if you would see Renault come to IndyCar.
You don't think so?
especially with
If they're not hitting it
how
with
they're
F1,
trying
they
to.
could do it.
But here's the thing: you can't say they're not hitting it with F1. They're trying to develop that team.
They are. You're right.
But so
Redevelop.
right, they're trying to get back to their winning ways. So I don't know if you would see Renault. I know at one time was it Lotus was talking about being an IndyCar because Chris Hogue worked for the team that they were going to run Lotus Power, and you know the season's getting ready to start and stuff, and they couldn't get motors. And finally, at the last minute, Lotus said, "Yeah, we're not doing anything with IndyCar. We're going to do F1 only."
I got you. See, and I remember when Anna Beatrice, I think she ran for Lotus, but they didn't. I don't either they didn't make the
Lotus
race
powered,
or she backed out. It wasn't. I thought it was there. Okay. I thought that was, but they were way back. I remember when Lotus did try to come back in, and they just couldn't find it. I mean, and it kind of blows my mind. I guess I don't understand. You would think a manufacturer that could do it and put the engine there in F1, but it's a completely different car.
right?
That's what people don't necessarily they just see it. It looks similar, so they think it's quite the similar
Oh,
car.
they're night and days apart.
Erickson's finding that out.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about before. I think he's finding his seat. He's trying to find his groove there in IndyCar. But yeah, I think he had a 7th place finish, but he hasn't really turned it on much after that. So, and does he find his groove? You know, that Schmidt Arrow or Schmidt Peterson team. Do they find their groove?
Right.
Do they make the Indy 500? Or are they out for the second year?
No, I think they'll make it.
I mean, there's a lot there going on.
And yeah, so next IndyCar race up will be May 11th, the Indianapolis Grand Prix.
That sounds so nice.
I mean, it's getting closer and closer, folks, to engines firing up out the brickyard again. The month of May is almost upon us, and
Friday.
I know Tommy Boy and I are very excited for the month of May.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's my favorite month of the year.
I want to say I think it's next Friday, noon or 2 o'clock. You can go into the track.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit up on the turn 2 hill, I guess, and they're going to do some practice. And I guess there's 26 cars already that are guaranteed out there. Yeah. So and this is like the rookie. This is the first time they'll hit the track.
Nice.
So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. I think it's mandatory for rookies.
Okay. Well, yeah, you've always had a rookie orientation out there. You know, they have to get up to speed.
And now the other guys can come out here
because
later.
What is it? The rookies, I think, when they first hit the track, they can only run up to like 190 or something like that.
Get your grip
and they have to run, you know, a few laps at the contain and see how they do in the car, and they'll come in and then they'll let them back out, and then they can crack like 200. I could be wrong on these speeds, but I know they just can't go right out and hammer down. I know that's how it used to be. I don't know if it still is that way, but that was always rookie orientation out there.
Right.
No. That's back when it was the full month of May.
Right. Exactly. That's and good call by IndyCar. Don't go out there and hit it full throttle because I'm sure your instinct is either that or it's to poop yourself. You hit turn 1 at full speed. Oh my God!
So
you see your whole life flash before your eyes. I'm sure as a rookie.
With that being said, I think that wraps up segment 1.
Wrap
it, you say?
Bag it, tag it,
stamp it, ship it out the door.
Boom.